Your Royal Highness, it's a great honour to welcome you to Lloyd's on what is a very special day for our market and for the global insurance and reinsurance industry. Of course, this is not your first visit to Lloyd's, as you were reminding me earlier. We've had the privilege of welcoming you on 4 previous occasions, most recently in 2006, together with Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Cornwall. Your Royal Highness, ladies and gentlemen, as we entered the room, you heard the chiming of the Lutein bell, a bell that is synonymous with Lloyd's and our maritime beginnings more than 330 years ago. Rung once to mark moments of mourning and twice to herald moments of ceremony and celebration, over the course of our history, it has been rung on numerous occasions to honour visits from the royal family. And whilst the visit of Your Royal Highness today continues that fine tradition, the ringing of the bell today also celebrates the promise of life returning to a better normal as we have begun to overcome the significant challenges that the pandemic has brought for so many. As a market, we've worked hard to support people, businesses, and economies around the world who felt the full and devastating force of the pandemic. The Lloyd's market itself is paying out more than £6 billion to its customers globally to address losses suffered by our customers from the pandemic. And we expect COVID-19 to be the biggest insured loss in our industry's history, totaling in excess of $100 billion. Where most of the risks we insure are limited by time and geography, the pandemic has had an impact everywhere in the world, and even today we have a limited understanding of when it began, and it's certainly far from over. And while the societal and economic impacts of the pandemic are of a scale that has never before been experienced, it has been a wake-up call that a hypothetical systemic risk is never far from becoming a reality, and that we must do everything we can to prepare and mitigate against those systemic risks that threaten our shared future. As many of us gathered here today will know, climate change represents the biggest and most challenging systemic risk of all, which, if left unaddressed, will have a dramatic impact on our lives and livelihoods. The insurance industry is already witnessing the increasing frequency and severity of extreme weather events, and is at the forefront both in building resilience against these disasters, as well as in providing the financial support to accelerate the recovery from disaster. Although the growing risk brought about by climate change is potentially the largest and most complex the world has faced, it is one which governments, industries, businesses and communities have the means to address through partnership and accelerated action towards a more sustainable future. The critical journey to a successful transition to a low-carbon economy will require global collaboration on a vast scale. Alongside the commitments that many nations around the world are making to take action to decarbonise, Lloyd's and the global insurance industry have an important role to play in supporting that transition. Given our expertise in risk mitigation and management, disaster resilience and recovery, and with more than $6 trillion in assets under management, the global insurance industry is in a unique position to provide innovative products and services to finance, manage, and protect against the rapidly changing risk landscape our customers face as they transition to a more sustainable future. In addition to welcoming Your Royal Highness to Lloyd's, the ringing of the Lutein bell twice today also recognises the official launch of the Sustainable Markets Initiative Insurance Taskforce. Lloyd's is honoured to have been invited by Your Royal Highness to convene this task force, and today Lloyd's and the Insurance Taskforce are making a commitment to be a catalyst and platform for action to accelerate the insurance industry's transition towards a more sustainable future through the risks we manage and protect against and the capital we invest. We're very pleased to support Your Royal Highness in your initiative to galvanise businesses globally to achieve that important goal. Through a set of tangible actions we will be delivering throughout the course of this year and beyond. Your Royal Highness, it has been our great privilege to have you visit Lloyd's today. As someone who has for many decades championed the imperative of sustainability, we thank you for your leadership through your Sustainable Markets Initiative and Terra Carta in driving global action to protect the future of our planet. Sir, I'd now like to invite you to share your own aspirations for the importance of your Sustainable Markets Initiative.
Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I can't tell you how flattered I am to have been invited this afternoon to come here and cause mammoth disruption, I'm afraid to say, to your normal activity and productivity, let alone probably interrupting your very important lunch hour. So I do apologize, but it really is an enormous pleasure to be able to join you here at Lloyd's, in the heart of the City of London, to hear the bell rung twice, that mark of good news, I'm told, and to celebrate a most important day for this market, and indeed for the global insurance industry, as it joins the global challenge to put nature, people, and the planet at the heart of our entire economy. And with the UK hosting COP26 later this year, I can only say how grateful I am that so many different insurance companies, some of the biggest in the world, have come together to help avert the accelerating disaster of climate change. After nearly 18 months of my Sustainable Markets Initiative establishing transition task forces from different sectors of the economy, I am really thrilled that we have been able to add the Insurance Task Force to those industries and businesses committed to changing the way we run our economy by, above all, working in harmony with nature's own economy, which we tend to have forgotten over a very long time now. So standing here in this underwriting room, I'm reminded of the extraordinary role that Lloyd's and the global insurance industry have played over the course of history in supporting economies, communities, and people all around the world to avoid crisis, or when it comes, to help us all recover from disaster. Now you, ladies and gentlemen, have provided the confidence that industry needs to invest in the future. For the last 3 centuries, whenever society has faced disaster, your finance initiative have helped it recover. We have never needed you more than we need you today. That's the point I really wanted to bring to this underwriting room. The coronavirus has demonstrated just how fundamentally interconnected human, economic, and planetary health are, and the urgency with which we simply must all act to build a productive and sustainable future. Over the past 18 months, I was saying, I've convened leaders from across industries and investment in almost every sector of the global economy to accelerate, if possible, the transition to a more sustainable future, one where we build the world's capacity to be resilient. And having listened to these industry, finance, and investment leaders, I would like, if I may, just to outline 3 ways the insurance industry can help. First of all, we must ensure we have the right market signals so that industry, investment, and governments know the direction of travel. Second, we must unlock the investment to investables pipeline and increase the number of investable and genuinely sustainable projects, including those that support adaptation and resilience. And this also requires that we shift investment away from carbon-intensive assets towards climate risk-resilient assets, including natural capital. Third, we must find ways to mobilize capital and investment for building climate risk-resilient infrastructure, particularly in the most climate-impacted regions of the world. And I know a lot of them, I can assure you, after visiting them over and over again throughout the Commonwealth, if nowhere else. So surely it is better to invest in and build up the right type of infrastructure that will reduce the risk of damage, destruction, and costs in future climate events. In fact, in the long run, it saves us money by putting the right resources up front. So, ladies and gentlemen, as an industry, you have a unique and deep understanding of the evolving impacts and risks of climate change and can help us mitigate and manage extreme weather events. As I've tried to indicate to this industry over a considerable number of years, probably to everybody's absolute exhaustion, the scale of the challenge that insurers face caused by new types or scales of climate-related events cannot be underestimated. Winter Storm Uri earlier this year is but one example. And so my sincere hope is that the industry will rise to these challenges and regard them as opportunities, and that it will avoid the temptation to restrict coverage, but rather innovate new products. If we are to realize the aspirations of moving to a low-carbon world by the middle of this century, there will have to be a seismic shift of investment into new industries and sectors. This transition in favor of nature, people, and planet can also represent the biggest opportunity for the insurance industry in recent times. What I've always hoped is that the world will properly understand that what we do to the world around us, we do to ourselves. And this is why, if I may say so, we must put nature at the center of our thinking. Nature, after all, has to profit too. If it doesn't, then with every day that goes by, we curb and compromise the economic health and physical well-being of our children and our grandchildren. Indeed, this is why, after many years of attempting to get the message across, I thought it essential in this moment of critical acceleration, and with the generous and energetic assistance of John Neal of Lloyd's, to convene an insurance task force whose membership represents some of the largest insurance and reinsurance companies around the world. Without you, we would not be seeing the investment in and growth of renewables, nor the large-scale advances in the private sector that are creating the necessary transition in carbon-intensive industries. But, ladies and gentlemen, with time running out, the urgency for action has, I fear, never been so great. And with this in mind, I could only ask you to join us in our efforts. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for ringing the bell twice. If there is one insurance policy we need, it's the one that guarantees the survival of the natural systems that sustain all life on Earth and us. We have, therefore, to put nature at the center of our entire approach. With your active and committed help, I have no doubt that we will build a better future for the planet and the generations to come. So, thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.